Hi, heroes. I'm here at PAX Unplugged at the Indie Bizzare to talk to some of the creators here to talk about their games. And right now, we're sitting down with Stephen Dewey. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Stephen, you are here to talk to us about one of my favorite horror games, I think, ever. And that's 10 Candles. Walk my audience through this really unique design.
Sure. So basically, 10 Candles is a one-shot tragic horror game session that's designed to be played in the dark, ideally only by the light of 10 tea-light candles. And that acts as atmosphere, but also as a countdown timer for the game, because as the candles go out one by one, it gets harder and harder for the survivors to accomplish whatever they're trying to do, and it brings the game closer to its end. At the end of the game, when the last candle goes out, all of the characters die. And everyone knows this going in, so it's not a survival horror game. It's not something where anyone's going to have any chance of winning or getting out at the end. Everyone's going to die, and you know that going in. So it allows you to tell these really interesting, tragic stories about these people in what we know will be their last few hours left, but where they're trying to find hope and accomplish something amidst the dark and monsters and all sorts of other horrible things that are going on.
Yeah, I absolutely love that premise for a game because right away it sort of takes what I think is like a standard way of playing of like you're struggling against a game world to survive and only to survive. Like dungeon crawling is hugely tied up in that. But taking that premise away, I think frees players to explore brand new spaces. And that on top of the atmosphere that you've set with the 10 candles in the middle of the table, like it looks very, very cool. Now, another really cool atmospheric thing that you did is actually with audio. You have before and after the game, like before the game, people record something that they hope to achieve during their mission where we all know in the meta that everybody is going to die. And afterwards, you play that message back to yourselves. Like after playing through the story and seeing everybody die, it was more powerful than I expected it to be. Where did that inspiration come from? What like led you to want to document things that way?
Yeah, so a lot of that inspiration came from just classic horror movie tropes of leaving that last message, like, hey, I don't know if we're going to make it, but if anyone gets this message, this is what happened, or this is who we are. And I liked using it initially as a tool to help you get into the game, because it's a very atmospheric game. It's very immersive. Even though you're sitting around a table, you really are invested in this world. And in order to sort of rip the Band-Aid off, I want people to dive right into their characters. So right away, right out the gate, the very first things you're going to say is sort of this message home. And it gives people sort of a creative prompt to get them started. And it only made sense as I thought about it more and more, because 10 Candles really this game of arcs. Every scene of the whole game kind of goes through this rise and fall to capstone at the end of the game, with it being also the last thing that you hear your character say, in addition to the very first. And a lot of times what people will sort of say as just sort of throwaway dialogue at the beginning, just something to get started, is almost without a fail really impactful at the end, and as it sort of framed the whole story that you've been telling.
That's very, very cool. Now, the part of me that loves 10 Candles can't help but notice there's a second book on the table. What else have you brought here?
So in addition to 10 Candles, I also have And We Are Alive, which is for sale here and also on my website. This is actually a product of the Kickstarter that ran for 10 Candles several years ago, and is a book of fiction, 10 short stories that are all inspired by the world of 10 Candles, tragic horror set in a variety of settings, 3 of which were written by me and 7 others were written by a number of other really talented authors and friends of mine, that all are inspired by this sort of idea that whether the world's gone dark and there's an apocalypse, or just some idea of encroaching, unavoidable terror. So there's a wide variety of stories in there, and a lot of people have said that it's a really great tool for inspiration for them when trying to really get in the mindset of the sort of stories they're going to tell. So as a result of the Kickstarter, it was originally just a PDF, but I liked the way the stories went so well that I knew it had to be something more than that. So it's fully printed and available for sale.
That is awesome. I love that. I love game-generated fiction. That's such a cool concept. Now, we are at PAX Unplugged. This is a massive convention, PAX mostly known for doing video game stuff. So I expect there are going to be a lot of people walking through who aren't as familiar with indie spaces like this and concepts like 10 Candles. What do you hope people walk away with as they visit you here at the Indie Bizzare during the convention?
Well, there's a lot of games, amazing games here. Like, just even looking out, I can see a ton of them. I'm really hoping that 10 Candles, as well as just the Indie Bizzare in general, can show people a different side of role-playing that they might not be used to. So if you usually do board games rather than role-playing games, which a lot of people do purely because you can sort of do it in one shot, you don't have to really invest this whole campaign. There are a lot of games out there, 10 Candles being one of them, that are really designed for these short form play sessions that don't require a lot of prep, that don't require a huge expansive rule set, that you can just pick up and play just like a board game. And if people are more interested in more storytelling-based board games and things like that, maybe this is something that they just don't know is out there, but might be excited about.
Stephen, that is so awesome. I'm so excited that we got the chance to sit down with you. If you are at PAX, be sure to drop by the Indie Bizzare. Check out 10 Candles. I definitely recommend it. It's a stellar game, a really wonderful atmospheric design. And thank you so much for not only designing it, but sitting down to talk with us, Stephen.
Thank you.
All right, see you, heroes. Boom.